1. We're live.
Live from somewhat disclosed locations. This is the Dream Show. I pointed the wrong way. He's
on this side.
this side.
There.
That's weird. Isaac's on that side.
Yeah.
It's raining where he's at too. So we still.
Is it raining on you?
Not much, but it is a little sprinkly. It rained last night a little bit more and stuff than it is right now. So
I got you.
It's the season and whatnot.
We're late because of internet issues. It affects the best of us. If anybody watched this weekend, what were your thoughts of the events this weekend on Netflix?
The laggy thing was definitely sucky for the thing. I didn't stay for the whole main event with Tyson and Jake Paul. I watched like the walkout and I saw pretty much what I needed to see.
Yeah,
right then.
Just in the walk, all the way to Mike's walkout. Is that what you're saying? Like when you saw him come out, you're like, oh, I see it. Yeah, I thought the same thing,
and it broke my heart.
Yeah, same.
That's why I was like, I'm just gonna go ahead and go to bed, and I'll watch highlights tomorrow, and maybe watch it whatever back and stuff. But yeah, it sucks, man. It sucks to see, but I get it from all perspectives that it could be many reasons to do that kind of thing for someone.
Yeah. Father Time's undefeated though.
Yeah, definitely, right. And I think if you kind of thought that he had a chance to win for real, I don't know, man. And I see all these people talking about it was like in the contract that said that he couldn't like throw uppercuts or couldn't like knock him out or he wouldn't get paid or whatever.
It looked like his timing wasn't there. Like it looked like when there were moments where the people are talking about where like, oh, he could have. It's like, yeah, he could have 15 years ago.
22-year-old Mike Tyson would have knocked everybody out from right there. You're right. His legs would have exploded.
But he couldn't. He couldn't do that last little.
He didn't have the drive from his legs.
Yeah,
it was all just like big explosion from his legs, and he gave it his best shot in that first round. It seems like, and he never really had a chance to get his legs under him. To get any real meaningful stuff off, because it looks like that's when Jake hit him the couple of times that he kind of got him, and he's like able to kind of taunt at him, because he knew that it was going to be just worse and worse as the time went on. And that's what happens in fighting. That's one of the parts of fighting I think people don't understand so much is like, there's all the other parts of it, like the skill part of where you're learning to punch or kick or grapple or do whatever it is, but somebody's just going to drag you down to, make it slower and longer to get your energy zapped. And then it doesn't really matter how much you can do prior to that or know prior to that. Once it's gone in that moment. And
it's that snap. Like being able to like make something happen in the moment, that's a skill in of itself, and that's a like cognitive and like physical skill,
and you got to be in the correct state to be able to handle that. And so that's it. That in boxing, what people call like running or whatever is boxing. That's what we would, like using the wall fighting and clinching and stuff in MMA and grappling and stuff.
To not allow you to be able to move around. Yeah.
What a lot of people traditionally think of as stalling is sometimes strategy to make the other guy have to show his hand a little bit and get tired and, give you a chance to even the playing field, so to say.
That's why they do so much road work and jump rope and all the it's that steady state cardio to be able to, for an out, like 45 minutes straight, just outwork somebody.
Move. You got to punch. You can't hold your breath. You got to move, all these different things going on. It's way harder than you could ever imagine. That's why people don't do it very much. And look, hitting pads, bro, if you hit pads, cool. It's good. It's great. It's a great workout. That does not mean you can fight. It does not mean you can hit a real person at all. Same thing with hitting a bag. Yes, you may crush the bag, but if the bag moves 6 inches one direction,
Is your flow going to be able to follow?
Do you have the next parts of whatever it is? If if the pad holder's not sitting there meeting you, right there where you're at, which is what you saw in a lot of those highlight clips that Mike was doing. The pad holder's letting him get work. He's standing there way too close and letting him get off. He's
still got power. A 58-year-old that he's throwing, he's still got power, but like you said, at a sitting target.
Punches, and for just a little bit. He wouldn't be able to do it sustained for that long. Like, you can't throw that many hard punches and recover. He just can't. It is what it is, and so I don't know, like I said, it felt really sad, and then seeing everybody's takes on it or whatever really like reinforced some of the reasons I just kind of don't talk about fighting stuff in the public a lot. Because people really don't understand. And it's not something to be mad at them about necessarily. They just don't understand. They're ignorant to what it really is.
Well, and that's like a weird point too, that like probably in the last 2 years, I've heard a couple conversations with people as like in the rooms that we're in and where the sports are going, like jiu-jitsu is now at that point that like there are fans that speak to the athletes as if the athletes aren't human, which is new to our community. I think our community is not used to that because we were so small. You talk trash about somebody in the forums, you're gonna see them at a tournament type of thing. Like somebody's gonna pull your hand, or at least it's gonna like ostracize you if in some way and whatnot. Now you have the like Monday morning quarterbacks that are, be like, oh, I can't believe that he went to outside Ashigarami, and then you like look at their profile and you're like, what are you even talking about?
With the wildest takes ever about stuff and speaking so just flagrant about whatever and just assuming that there's no consequence to it, and there's no consequence to it in the fact that nobody's going to get to you, and that's true. But then these are still real people, and they have real lives, and if you've ever been a fighter. It's not easy, man. It's not easy to go out there and give it your best shot, no matter what. If you, win, lose, or draw at any level, to go out there and really give it your best shot. So, like, there's a level of it that's just kind of disrespectful overall that I just don't want to even get into because people don't care.
So, like, how much, just out of curiosity, because I know, like, you've been in the fight game for most of your adult life, but, like, you grew up in the South, and, like, how much of the football world have you been around? Like, have you hung out with football fans?
I mean, yeah.
Like college football fans?
For sure. Back in the day, a lot more than I'd have now, I guess, and I still kind of do, but I just don't get into it any with people.
No, I'm just saying that like the level that the sport's getting at, like we're now to some extent, to a small extent, like I agree with you. Like I think that is messed up. Like you shouldn't do that. You shouldn't say anything to Peyton Manning if you don't know what Peyton Manning does. You know what I'm saying? But like the sport being treated that way shows me that like we're at that level now. And so like it kind of feels like a little bit of success that it's like, yeah, okay, let the armchairs be the armchairs. Buy a t-shirt. Thanks.
No, and that is the right answer. You know what I'm saying? It's like you gotta ignore all of that, and that's the thing that happens when people get to a higher level of whatever. They're gonna start getting haters or whatever, and then now that means you're getting attention, though. So that's definitely part of the process. In ways too, and again, that's what I say is like the whole Jake Paul thing. Whatever, like I don't have any like animosity about him and what he's doing or whatever, because he's getting paid, he's helping these people get paid. Mike Tyson got 20 million. He possibly could have got that to fight anybody else almost, but this was a safe fight for him too. In that way, he wasn't going to really get physically injured, probably.
I do think that what he said, like what Dana White was saying and whatnot, is that like, I mean, Mike did look like that he was able to like not get hurt. It was looking a little sketchy there towards the end. Have we had 3-minute rounds and it been like, what's normal boxing? Is it 15? 3-15?
Oh, no, 3 10s unless it's a
title. Is it 10 threes? Okay.
Yeah, 10 threes, whatever.
10 threes. Okay.
Fight, I think.
Okay. Yeah. So like if it had been 10 threes, like I don't know, had there been an extra minute in there. There was a couple times it was not looking good for my man. But like at the same time, I don't necessarily think that we've ever seen, like you said, like not to shake a stick at what Jake does as a as an influencer, but like I don't know, I hadn't seen him punch anybody that looked like he was gonna for real knock him out that weren't already like dinged.
He's got power, man. I say, like I think he can knock people out. I'm not.
I mean, anybody. You see 5-year-olds knock their dads out on YouTube all day long.
But I mean, like I think he could legitimately be a decent boxer. He's not like world class in that way.
That's
no disrespect. That's what I'm saying is like the level boxer that he is would still beat up a lot of people. He may not be top 10 or top 20, whatever in the world, or 30 even. But that's still pretty high level. That's 50, 100, 100 in the world. If he could make that, that's pretty impressive for a kid who was on YouTube or whatever everybody thinks is not anything. So that shows.
I mean, he's what, 4 years in?
Yeah, he's only 4 or 5 years in.
Yeah, 4 or 5 years in to be at the level that you're at. And then, like you said, what's the whole goal of all this? Like, if you're trying to be a fighter, I don't know. Like, it's his ultimate goal is for sure to make money, and he's succeeding astronomically at that. So it's like, I mean, you can't really hate it, right?
No, and you shouldn't either. And I think it's smart. And I think, it's a thing that we should all maybe try to figure out better on our ends too, is how to, when one avenue changes for you, when you're not able to be a Disney character, when you grow up, you got to do some adult stuff. And then once your young adult game goes out, you don't have the athletics anymore. Now, what do you got? What can you turn to make, your gains to now? You gotta always be able to shift with whatever's going on, or you're going to get, left behind if that's what you're trying to do.
So did you watch? So put your tinfoil hat on for me. We need to get you one. So did you watch the reel that I sent you about like when it was early on, like it was like his second or third fight maybe, and he was like looking at the camera and he was like talking about it, and he was like, the whole sport's rigged. Mm-hmm. And he's like, I'm about to show y'all how rigged it is. Do you think that maybe he's that like cerebral about this? Of that he's shown the world boxing, but not in the way that the boxing world initially thought that he was showing it. He's being like, yeah, look, it's rigged. Watch, I'll rig one right in front of you.
And so I don't know if it's rigged in that way.
No, not rigged, but like I guess
the matchups are made. It's matchmaking
on purpose.
It's not. Yeah. It's not about 1 and 2. That's why they have to have in a lot of those for certain titles. They have mandatory challengers and things like that you have to take on if you want to be holding certain titles for a certain amount of time in boxing. For that reason, that way you can't just keep picking and choosing, because once you had it, why would you take on someone that could beat you? If you didn't have to. But I think what we did see now is like a couple of champions have called him out after that fight with Mike Tyson and offered him an opportunity to fight them for the belt. And so I think that's part of that. And would he get demolished? Probably, maybe, definitely. Would he really like upset the balance of things with that? It's like, yeah, but then is he doing anything that other people haven't done? And I don't think so. I think it's money. It's the promoter. If you have the promoter that's backing you, your career looks a lot better than if you're a guy who doesn't have the promoter backing you. If you get all your matches picked for you, that's how a lot of people make it. And people don't understand that from boxing and MMA and everything. Is like
even starting to get that way in jiu-jitsu.
Certain people are made. They're not as good as you think they are. They're manufactured, and that's what like Mike Tyson said about Jake Paul. They're manufactured killers, and everybody's buying it. They're drinking up all the prime drinks that all these people are making, and it's happening in jiu-jitsu, like you said, and MMA. And I see it all the time now as somebody who's played all around the game and been, in the rooms or whatever. There's a lot of people that don't know what they're doing and haven't ever really done anything, trying to go out here and say a lot of stuff about stuff and don't know what they're talking about. They've never really done the heavy lifting part of it. But then also, if you got money, you could dictate the terms a lot easier.
Well, I mean, it's like him, Jake's done this, and then Mayweather is the same one. It's like, well, be your own promoter.
Well, yeah, no, Mayweather did it first, right?
Yeah.
That's the idea. Is
Yeah.
like he did. You saw it there. Is that's
Cut
the
the
move.
promoter out.
That's the same thing with like music artists. If they can, if you can
Yep.
self-produce somehow and not have to go through the label, then now you
Dude,
get the whole cut.
total side quest on that, but like completely related. Have you ever heard about what Taylor Swift's like agreement is with the payment processors? So she has
Feel like it, but go ahead. You go ahead. Yeah, so
she has like her own payment processor. And so when she comes into like say T-Mobile Stadium, they have to cover all of the like the ATMs and all the different payment processing. Like anytime a card gets swiped inside the stadium, she gets a cut.
She gets
like that's gangster.
Like, yeah. And so they get their sales, right? They get the sales on their stuff, but she gets the money off of that. Yeah. Well, and if you're able to do it, why not? Right.
Oh, yeah.
Somebody's making it. I saw a video actually, tangentially related to that too. Like there had Visa and MasterCards, like people like at the Senate or whatever, and he was questioning them about their profits and stuff like that. How much profit do they make off of each transaction or whatever? This at least like 50% to 100% off of each transaction, unless you go to Walmart or whoever, and then they give Walmart like
a cut.
Yeah, and so that's what the senator was arguing. Why can't small businesses like us have that same ability? And they're like, well, it's the same thing with every market. Basically, if you buy more, you get a better deal,
right?
So
economics.
It sucks if you're not able to do it, but if you're able to do it, it's a cool deal.
Yeah. And then there's all kinds of things that are changing in that, and now we're getting off in the weeds of things that I have no clue about. Like as far as
this is where we should be at.
But I mean, I feel like that the crypto world is supposed to be trying to answer a lot of that. Anytime I'm sitting in these meetings or sitting around or like watching these videos and stuff, is like they're always talking about the fact that like the crypto world's supposed to be fixing that.
Are we in 2021 right now?
What's in 2021?
The crypto is going to save us again.
Oh, I don't know.
I'm just joking, but it's definitely.
I just realized we're at the end of 2024, basically, and like that's 24 years in that like block. It's been crazy to me. It's just like looking back of like the start, like when I started in MMA, or jiu-jitsu, really, like that was 2010, and like looking at the change between 2010 and now is crazy, like absolutely crazy.
Yeah, you can imagine. Yeah, and I think that's the way that the world is, period. The way that it was 10 years ago or 30 years ago, and you see some of those things that pop up, like this show represents like what 1980 was in the year 2000 or whatever. So it'll be like that would be us watching something now about the year 2000 on TV. And being like,
I think like right now it was the most recent one I saw, and this may be completely wrong, but like we're at the point that right now would be the equivalent of Dazed and Confused being made about the 1990s.
Yeah. Something like that around that. So it's just like, that was us. Like we were the 90s kids and we're the adults now. And so that's really weird. And again, a lot happens in your life, and that goes into some of those other things you're talking about, changing hats, so to say, like, Mike Tyson or Jake Paul or anybody might have to do if they're going to stay in relevance, I guess, or if they want to keep, progressing as a person, you have to change as you get older and different parts of your life come together, having kids and, whatever else could happen along the way definitely makes you shift your focus, and things I think pretty solid about now. And, would have never thought I would have came over to this side, the table on with some of that stuff. So it's really interesting how a lot's changed, and with jiu-jitsu and with the BGF versus, what we started with in 2010, where almost everybody was still trying to fight. I think not everybody maybe, but at least.
But most everybody that got into it because they were like, I want to do MMA.
I wasn't meeting a lot of people that weren't.
Yeah.
you know, and maybe
Yeah.
I was just in those rooms or whatever specifically a lot, but for the most part, I feel like that was the thing. And then that kind of played itself out to a degree, and then now it, you know, the submission only stuff. Well, you know, the gi was really heavy for a bit, I guess, too, and everybody was, you know, inverting and
Yeah,
all these
that was
things.
like my age group, like the guys that are now like everybody was
That was
playing worm guard and lasso
See, that was a
guard.
little bit, yeah, that was a little bit later, right? I feel
Yeah.
like the lasso stuff was first, but like
Or I guess
the
lasso
gi,
came before, yeah.
really gi heavy stuff, and unless
I
you
found
were
worm first and then I went to lasso
a
because that's how I
wrestler,
work.
but yeah, unless you're a wrestler or something like that, or
Right.
access to a 10th planet school or something like that, you had to train in the gi
Well,
to
and the
get good.
wrestlers, the only wrestlers I knew of was like there was the little pocket in Alabama that was in Birmingham, and then like everybody else was from up north. Like I
Yeah,
didn't know about any wrestling anywhere else really.
yeah, there wasn't really a lot in the South for sure yet back then, but yeah. And so, but the, you know, there was the gi, and then, you know, EBI, I think, switched it a little bit to the started taking people away because you started getting paid to compete a lot more with that style.
When did EBI start? Do you remember?
15, 2015, like 2015, I think.
Little trivia there.
I'd have to look that up. I know Thomas was a baby because I remember watching it with him
Yeah.
as a baby. Let me see. I got this magical device right here that can tell
You
me.
know, this amazing thing. I wonder, is that like a super easy Googleable information? It should be. I feel like I've seen it in one of the
January,
videos leading up
June
to
2nd, 2014.
14. Okay.
Oh, wow. That was a month, 2 months before he was born.
So 10 years ago.
Damn. Yeah, because this was the 10-year anniversary. Obviously, we knew that from earlier this year.
Oh
Duh.
yeah. I
Duh.
totally forgot they did that. I was like,
Duh.
oh, the overdose coming up here in December. And I was like, oh, never mind. They already did the 10th planet anniversary.
That's okay.
That'll
There's
be
a lot of shit going on.
that'll be a good clip later.
Wow. That's pretty funny, though. So, yeah, so I was still fighting then. So,
Wow.
like, I was into it, but I wasn't into it like that. I was still, we hadn't even moved to San Diego yet, I
So
think.
you hadn't gotten into the 10th planet world per
Mm-mm.
se, like super deep yet.
I
Did
was
you
like
know did
watching,
you
but
know of the 10th planet system while you were coming up? Because I know like just like me and a lot of us that like you were in the pocket of the South where like you just went to where all the fighters were. But like had you heard of the 10th planet stuff? Did they talk about it?
super funny. But like, yeah, the very first tournament that I went to, one of my teammates like freaked out about this guy named Eddie Bravo or whatever, and went to go meet him and got his picture with him and stuff like that. And so then that kind of was the introduction to it. And so that was, you know, the beginning of it all. I feel like definitely the 08, 09 era where Eddie wasn't as big of a favorite amongst the crowd, you know. Um, and so that was just an interesting conversation where some people had an opinion already about him, you know, and then my one teammate who was my buddy had this other opinion. And so I was just like, I'll just kind of look out for that stuff.
Just keep
Um,
watching.
but for the most part, yeah, I didn't have access to anybody that was really doing it. And anybody that I came across that was doing it was somebody that had went to like a seminar or had watched something on their own or whatever it was, and they weren't able to really do it well. And so
Yeah.
I didn't really respect it as much as maybe I should have, or, you know, as far as, you know, the value in it overall. You know, a good example is the lockdown. Everybody's, and there's still a very common problem with that, of where everybody thinks of it as just as the stalling
Mhm.
position, where you just straighten their leg out and try to like pin, which is, I don't even know, such a small percentage of it, I guess. Maybe it's a bigger percentage for some people overall, but for me, I think that part of it's like one of the lower percentage parts of what the lockdown kind of is that like stretching it out part. It matters, but it only matters in combination with other movements that you're doing and
Yeah.
strategies that you're using. Um,
The dip set.
Yeah. And so just stuff like that wasn't well addressed. And then like in rubber guard, like hugging your knee and how important that was instead of just like pulling on your ankle and stuff. And so people
Yeah.
were, incorrectly. It's just a lot of like misinformation uh, going out there. And that's funny to say, about Eddie.
Yeah. People misinforming people about Eddie.
Yeah, but it's true though. And then now looking at it, it's just like a lot of the stuff once I got there and really dove into it was just counters to the classical stuff.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, this works, but also since everybody's knowing this and everybody's doing this, why don't you just try this instead? Or they're pushing you this way, and instead of just trying to force your way through it, go the other way.
Yeah.
But you're not supposed to go the other way. It's like, but you can though.
Because he's forcing me to go that way anyways. I might as well go with it.
And so now people started going to where they were just going to do it themselves. I'm just going to just roll and make it work on my own, and so like that's just part of the game in
the evolution. Way.
Yeah. So like it's been a lot. And so then we saw ADCC after that come back around and people wanted to wrestle and like that kind of game coming back in vogue. And the leg locks thing kind of played out a little bit more. It's still there. Obviously, it's like a dangerous part of the game now. It'll never go away like it had before, I don't think. But now you got people wrestling more and not being afraid to push the issue with some of that. And
I mean, the only thing that made the leg locks go away was the rule sets. People quit training them because the rule sets wouldn't allow them.
Right. Yeah, I don't think we'll see that.
Yeah. I don't think. Well, you think that, and then you see major organizations, and I will just reference the clip. I won't reference the organization, but I think this is the silliest thing to be, illegal. But like the clip of Eddie being like, "I hate twisters now." Like, why have everything legal in a sub only and then make twister illegal? Like that just seems like a.
Who did that? Eddie did that.
Did you not see the clip?
No.
When Gio was going for a twister.
Yeah. At Aiga or whatever. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I wasn't gonna say them, but yeah.
I wasn't.
I'm not like starting anything with them. Oof. You stressed out there, buddy?
It's hot in my office. I guess I gotta let the heater on or some shit.
But I was saying like with them is like they're a pretty like big like group and they have pretty sub only rules. Like that just seems like a really random one to be like, nah, not that one. You're like, well, I can break his arm, I can guillotine him, I can do everything else, but like I feel like the neck crank rules are silly.
Yeah, I think they should just tap. I think people should just tap. And I think if you don't know the rules or if you don't know enough to protect yourself, then maybe professional grappling is not for you. Maybe you should not be at that high of a level yet.
We have viewers on Twitch.
Hey, is that a real person?
I don't know.
What up, bot?
Don't they give you stuff bot on Twitch?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
I didn't know we still did that.
Yeah, I've been uploading this on Twitch too.
I might need to look into it. Hey, what's up then? Real person? Cool. Thanks for tuning in for us on Twitch there. First Twitch viewer I think I've ever seen for us. I don't know. Maybe they're there.
Maybe they have been this whole time. And there's been a lot more like in the streaming world, like people like I hate that I cannot remember the guy's name, but he was the black belt that jumped on the commentary table at one point in the night that he was at PGF, that he was a streamer, I believe, was like his whole like, something flow overflow, I believe is what it was. Yeah.
Let me see. Yeah, let me look it up real quick.
Yeah, you look that up while I tell this, but it's just that like I was briefly like standing in a conversation hearing him talk about it, and they're just talking about like the way that the Twitch streaming world is, and I've literally never even like
overt flow.
That's right. That was it. Yep. But like I was looking at their streams and the amount of people that are watching, and the engagement is what so many people look for in those like numbers and those metrics, is seeing like how many people are watching, and like the engagements are crazy. It's like, wow, like it's not, you don't have 50,000 people watching and then like 100 people commenting. It's like 50,000 people watching and like 45,000 are commenting. You're like, good gosh.
Jesus. They said they got a question.
They have a question.
What's the question? That's cool. We don't have a flow.
Yeah.
We're just messing up.
Yeah, no, there is no flow. I had to throw my glasses on so I could read your question. What's your question?
Get some anti-glare glasses for my boy.
Yeah. Well, that'll come up in the budget. But while we wait for them to formulate their question,
When you get a budget?
We have budgets.
Oh, here we go.
Oh, we're going deep.
In what way are you asking? Am I happy with my life? Yes. Overall, definitely.
For sure. Because, I mean, what is happy with your life?
I guess that's like what is happy? Is that even that's not a perpetual state, right? That's not even real to say that you're happy like all the time, because you can't be.
Okay.
That's like I don't think that's real. And it's not saying that you can't be happy often or a lot, happy with lots of things or whatever, but grateful, all those different kind of things. But things are annoying sometimes. Things don't go right, sometimes bad things happen to good people. So,
but I mean, as cliche as it sounds, like I think I hear my mom in my head saying this, is that like the difference is like happiness or joy. Because like you got like the joy where you can just like, be joyful to be alive, or joyful for like, and just have like that inherent like that. And then things can go sour, like things can go bad, but like you can still stay at that like center spot, which isn't perfect. I don't think anybody's perfect at that. So yeah. I agree with you in that way that I say that.
No, I like that. The different question of the two, between like joy and happiness, and like what is that? Yeah, and that's a lot. There's a lot of things that do have. It's kind of some of the stuff that goes into a lot of what we all do here. With the PGF, with our grappling, with these shows and different things like that. I started training personally myself because I wasn't happy with my life. I left my small town to start doing it. I was very, very out of shape. I was roughly, close to 400 pounds, about 385 or so at that point. Had an okay job, wasn't nothing crazy, but for a young man, I was doing okay. But where I was at, wasn't going to make it, as far as longevity's sake, too much indulgence in stuff that wasn't good for me, not always dangerous in one way or the other, but
just inherently not good.
Yeah, nothing that was really like going towards anything,
building.
Yeah, and so like it takes stuff, and so leaving there and getting out and going and to do this is, help me understand, I guess, some of that stuff a lot better, like happiness and joy and like the parts of life that are like ugly or whatever in a way, and still good, parts of that stuff are important. The bad parts or whatever are just as important to you and your character and like who you are as a person as the really good stuff that you're always like happy and proud of. Like I think we don't give ourselves enough credit often for that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Why do you keep training? Because you know why you started training, and you know why you did train, because of the fight world and all that. Now at this point, like, why does someone like yourself keep training?
I mean, there's a lot of reasons, I guess. And one thing that's hard right now, though, is like I enjoy training because I like to learn, and so I enjoy learning stuff. And so definitely been a thing lately, being the head instructor for the last several years. It's been tough to get taught a lot on the regular, so I like that aspect, man. And I think, there's just like something to the closeness of it all with people, and like the intimacy of what we're doing, and like there's a level of trust I think that you gotta have with the people that you do this with, if you're gonna do it well. That is hard to find in other places for me, at least. It was really hard for me to find.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, I got like this really crazy social anxiety of like social settings and like a lot of people and going up to people and starting conversations and different things like that. I'm not like great at that at all. Like it really gives me a lot of stress to do that kind of stuff. But I don't know. I guess like in this world, I feel a lot more comfortable being myself, and it's allowed me to be more open and to stay on that like thing, um, whatever that whatever the thing is, and it keeps me humble for sure, um, because I realize I don't know everything. You know, always something being done or coming up, that hasn't came up before, or a new philosophy or a strategy or something like that, and even things that you thought you knew or things you think you know very well, you don't know at all, really, once you learn more about it and you get more in depth. Uh, so, yeah, thank you, Anise. Um, so yeah, there's just a lot to it, I think, and it's very complex, and my brain needs something like that. That if I figured it out, I wouldn't enjoy it anymore, and
Yeah.
I haven't figured it out yet. As good as I am, as long as I've been doing it, I still don't know it. Like I can't tell you how to win. Like I could tell you how to win in some ways, but I can't tell you how to guarantee victory every time. I don't think that there's like
I was gonna say, do you think anybody can?
no, and I think that's what
Yeah,
I'm
I think that's
saying.
the point. Yeah.
I think a lot of us can say that, but then when the variables start flying at you fast, making those decisions in that moment and like training you up to be ready for it is really hard to do. It's really hard to have all the information inside of your brain and to execute it at the
Yeah.
at that same way. And then now again, being on this side of it is all I ever really worried about before was my stuff, my game, what I did, what I liked and didn't like, and issues I had and didn't have. Versus now I'm worried about more the average person in general kind of stuff, and then also looking at higher level competitor plays that we need to be incorporating for these guys, and stuff like that too. But everybody's not like me in a bunch of ways, and in good ways and bad ways. Some people are more athletic, and so they don't need to take some of the slow down steps that I had to take to get the job done. They can skip a couple steps sometimes. And there's some people who are not as athletic as I am, and they need to take more steps than I take to get the job done. And I always kind of framed a lot of my stuff around that. Well, I'm probably the least athletic one, and this is probably as many steps as you would need to take to get the job done. When in reality, I was fairly athletic, big guy. That once I got into shape and learned my body really well, it wasn't true that anymore.
Yeah.
Everybody could just do what I do. Like it took a lot of work to be able. It takes a lot of work to be able to do a lot of the things that I just kind of do.
Yeah.
Like really interesting thing about that. Like I have a client that I do private lessons with, and he's really fun, and he pays a lot of attention to small things. And so like he'll be watching, and he's noticed that I can get into like this deep squat really easily from lots of different positions. Like it's just to pass or to whatever, I mean, just putting pressure on people getting really low. Uh, and he's like, "How do you do that? Like, what do you do to do that?" And it's like, man, a lot, a lot. Like I sit
A lot.
and like I do this in training. I've had grappling dummies. I've used medicine ball transitions. I have done yoga classes. I have done strength and conditioning classes.
Yeah.
I do mobility on my own. I sit in the squat position, like what people I guess call the Asian squat.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
as
That's
many
what I was
times as
about
I
to.
can think about it to try to keep myself in that realm because I got such tight inner thighs from squeezing so much doing jujitsu, trying to pinch for finishes and things like that kind of
I
overplayed that.
just got back to where I can like sit down in that spot, like it with my knee. Like I just got back to where I can do that. But like that ability to be able to like take your butt to your heels and like sit down like that, like
Ooh, got a phone call tomorrow with the lady, a nurse from New Hope Regeneration.
Ooh.
Starting that process and see what that looks like. And it's like the preliminary stuff where I get to sit there for an hour and tell her everything that's broken.
You should probably document this process as your, content creating friend.
I think that's a good idea. I never thought about that part, but
See,
they're gonna. I'm sure if we do start doing stuff, they will definitely be doing some of that too. But I think I should definitely do it from my side.
for sure. And like I'd love to just talk to you. Like, so like as we're starting, like, are you starting with your knees, or you have no idea where you're starting? You're just going in there.
So I don't know what the process is even really.
Okay.
Like
Okay.
I guess that's what it is. It's like what are the possibilities through this regimen that you can do? What is available to be accomplished? And I talked to Taylor, and he gave me some questions to kind of ask about stuff. And guys, if you don't know, Taylor's a guy that trains with us. He's a Gustavo Machado black belt. He's a brown belt with me. He's also a doctor, I guess, pharmacist.
Yeah.
He's a scientist. He knows what he's reading.
he's a scientist.
Science. And so he has looked into this stuff a lot, and so he told me some questions to kind of ask about specific things that I would have not thought to ask or understood was even a possible thing. So, yeah, I'm excited, man. If I can get back a portion of this, lower back and right hip stuff going, then I think training will be a lot more fun. That's been one of the problems, man, I've had in the last year or two. I think too, honestly, Isaac, is like I haven't been able to train like I ever had. I can barely get 1 or 2 days in a week at the most
before you feel completely just
feel bad all week. I'll never have it.
Yeah.
I just don't feel good ever. And that's been it's been a hard adjustment. I guess that's where some of that stuff about needing to maybe evolve a bit and find other avenues, for whatever it is, and not necessarily compensation wise, but like shit, this was my hobby.
Yeah.
So like I need something that I can do in my free time, so this is one of those other things with the the hyperfixation with trying to be the best. I really like insulated myself into this world of fighting and combat sports and jiu-jitsu and stuff, and like didn't do anything else. So, like, I really don't know much else. I know a lot about this stuff though, so like I know more than you do. Don't act like that, but you probably know a lot more about a lot of other stuff. So that's why.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, but I mean, one thing that I have noticed about the black belts that I've been around that are, like we said earlier, happiness is not like necessarily a measurement. So I won't say happiest, but that like have like the most diverse world that they seem to like navigate through and whatnot. They're black belts in other stuff. They're like a black belt in musician, or they're a black belt in like coding, or in art, or they're like a architect, or like even then like you start going down the avenues of like we said, like there's surgeons and stuff.
I like to play, man. I like to play, so I need my body. I want to play.
But there's ways to like play, and that it's like we've talked a couple of times about Bruce on here, is that like the Tai Chi stuff, like that's a totally different form of play that you get to play, and it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to like do this.
You're right. I can't necessarily argue that point. That's definitely.
I'm not telling you to go pick up golf or chess.
I'm not. No, golf's going to be too violent for your back. Like,
that's a good point.
Somebody with a hurt back, I think golf might be the worst fucking. I'm sorry.
That is a good point. I didn't think about. I forgot that, like, Tiger Woods tore his entire like lower back and leg apart just golfing. That's crazy. That like when we don't think about the impacts that like just that simple rotation over repetition like just can just destroy something.
Repetitive motion injury is a big deal. Yeah. So well, guys, I am about to join the meeting really quick right here with my buddy Andrew Murillo. I'm gonna join this while we're still on the show right here to let him know that I am.
You're gonna do it live? I was actually coming to our close. I was keeping up with our heart out. I'm professional over here. I'm flying literally blind, and I was keeping up with the time.
That's okay. I think it didn't work anyway. So.
Oh, okay.
Oh, there goes back in. There we go. Now I'm here.
Friend of the show, Andy Murillo. Oh man, that rhymes. Did he know his name rhymes like that?
I can hear you. Hold on, I'm still talking to Isaac for a second. I think you can't hear me.
That's
All right,
referee.
Everybody. Much love, everybody.
Andy Barillo.
Got a meeting. We got to get these officiatings. They're gonna listen to me complain. I love y'all.
All right. Goodbye, Stephen. See everybody next week, sometime at 10 a.m. on your local YouTube channel. Adios.